Hi again, everyone. Mr. Seamhead here, talking baseball. Is that what we do here? I'm Mr. Seamhead. Today I want to go over some movies. Some of my favorite movies growing up, some movies I still very much enjoy today. First off, The Sandlot, 1993. We all love The Sandlot. People want to talk about my realism. I've asked about if I thought that these movies are more realistic than The Scout. Of course I do. There's some imagination and faith involved in this, opposed to throwing 81 fastballs right down the middle of the plate and not even getting a foul tip from 9 major league players over 3 at bats each. Ridiculous. So to believe in The Sandlot, to believe they think this giant mega dog's there, even though he's bull mastiff big dog, not as big as they envision, but they're 11, 12, 13-year-old boys with imaginations. The hardest part to believe is how Scotty Smalls, who is played by Tom Gurry, has no idea who Babe Ruth is. I understand that Bill, his stepdad, Dennis, played by Dennis Quaid, wasn't his biological father and just spent a lot of time talking baseball to him, but I do not hear the name Babe Ruth. But regardless, he's trying to impress his friends, his new friends, after moving into this new town 2 weeks before the summer ends. Before the summer starts, school summer starts. So he steals the ball from the trophy case to go and play after Benny Rodriguez, played by Mike Vitar, smashes the guts out of the ball. The cover comes off and everything, so they don't have another ball. So he grabs that ball, and then he, of all people, hits a home run, hits the ball into Mr. Myrtle's yard, who's played by James Earl Jones. They're too scared to get the ball. They think Mr. Myrtle is a evil bad man who hates kids. Turns out he loves baseball and likes kids just fine. If they'd have just gone to the door and asked him for the ball, he'd have given it to him. Having said that, though, there would have been no movie if that happened. Again, just the imagination of the boys. There's a good acting staff. I mean, James Earl Jones, Mr. Myrtle, he doesn't do a lot. Dennis Leary plays Bill, stepdad. It's not a ton of it. Karen Allen plays the mom. Now, Karen Allen, I'm going to shout out to Greene County, Illinois, because I know there's not a lot of people out there, but I know I have a few followers. She's from was born in Carrollton, Illinois, believe it or not. She also played the girlfriend in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones, and girlfriend, I think later turns into wife, in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones. I'm not going to be an expert on that stuff because I talk baseball, but Art LaFleur comes as Babe Ruth in a dream to Benny Rodriguez. Speaks to him about being a legend, how legends never die. Heroes are remembered, legends never die, and that's when he decides to run over to the fence and get the ball and challenge the beast, as they dubbed the dog, whose name really turns out to be Hercules. Love this movie, always have, always will. It just shows the imagination of children, and then the camaraderie and the teamwork of these guys to make sure that they can get this ball back together, even though it's just going to be Scotty who's going to pay for it. The other guys don't leave him hanging, no matter how stupid they think he was for playing with a ball autographed by Babe Ruth. I would always love The Sandlot. Okay. Next, I have Rookie of the Year, which is also 1993. This is about a 12-year-old boy, Henry Rowan Gardner, played by Thomas Ian Nicholas. You can't play in the major league, so you can't even be signed until you're at least 16 years old. I don't think you can play until you're 17 or 18 in the majors. Regardless, it's still a good story. He breaks his arm. The way it heals the tendons makes him really strong, and he can throw about 100 miles an hour. Still think this is more realistic than the Scout because he's a relief pitcher. He locates the ball in other places. He just doesn't throw it down the middle all the time. And they do hit him sometimes. He does get hit. They even ground into double plays. He does get hit. He even throws changeup later in the game. Later in the movie, I should say. That's after he loses his arm strength. I've always wondered how they end up going on to win the World Series without their 2 best pitchers, Henry Rowan Gardner and Chet Stebbins, who's played by Gary Busey. The Cubs end up winning their first World Series, as they show the World Series ring with Henry Rowan Gardner at the end of the movie when he's playing Little League. He shows up and shows his World Series ring on that. I don't know. I like the movie. You got Daniel Stern plays the pitching coach or the bench coach, Coach Brickma. He's a trip. It's kind of a hoot in that one. Like hot ice. I remember the hot ice for the elbow. That would melt, but you can also have icy hot, right? Uh, not as much to cover on that one. I feel good movie. I don't like it nearly as much as The Sandlot. Sandlot's probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Um, still worth a watch. I still always check it out when I see it on TV. It's hard to turn it away. Um, but yeah, another generation 1993 movies, baseball wise, and then you have lastly here I'm going to cover Angels in the Outfield. This is 1994. Angels in the Outfield, young boy, Roger Bauman, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, is in foster care as his mother has passed away and his deadbeat father seems to really want nothing to do with raising him. So he asks his dad when he sees him, Dad, when are we going to be a family again? And he asks him, he says, you still follow the Angels? He says, of course. And he says, how about when the Angels win the pennant? And the Angels are just an awful team. So he prays to God for some help in helping the Angels win the pennant so he can be with his dad again. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Even though the Angels do come down and help the team win some games and help them get to the final game to qualify for the playoff spot, Roger ends up not being given up to the custody of the state by his father. His father's total deadbeat and wants nothing to do with him. Still end up having a good story as Mel Clark, who's played by Tony Danza, ends up winning the game as a pitcher for the Angels, and they advance. Sad part is that Al, the head angel, is played by Christopher Lloyd, points out that Tony Danza has lung cancer and is only going to have 6 months left to live. At the end of the movie, though, even though the Angels do win the pennant, he does get adopted. He gets adopted by Danny Glover, who plays the manager, George Knox, who at the beginning of the movie hated kids, wanted nothing to do with kids. When he met Roger, that's because Roger won a ticket to go down on the field to meet with the manager. He basically wanted nothing to do with it. He was just doing it because he was forced. But at the end, he adopts him as well as Roger's best friend, JP, who's played by Milton Davis Jr. So I haven't found much information on him. This is a remake of a 1951 movie called Angels in the Outfield, which was actually about the Pirates. And in that one, the Angels came down because the reason they thought the Pirates were losing is because of their foul-mouthed manager. So the Angels come down to try to knock that off as well as help the team win. Anyways, good, wholesome movies here. You need a little bit of imagination and a little bit of faith to believe in these things, but that's what movies are about. Again, just have some realism in them. Again, the Angels don't win every game. They don't strike everybody out on fastballs down the middle. Fantasy's great, but let's have some realism in it too as well, and that's one of the reasons I really like these movies. And I did say that after covering The Scout that I wanted to be more positive the next time I showed some movies. So what more positive than these three children's films per se that are ageless amongst baseball fans? I don't care how old you get, what age you are, if you're a baseball fan and you were a kid once and you love baseball and you're a kid, then you're gonna enjoy these movies anytime you see them. So that's what I got for those. More episodes coming up here soon. Mr. Seamhead signing off.